Hey guys, welcome to the Touchdown Table. I'm Ryan, that's Tyler, that's Jordan. And this video is going to be an interesting one because we are going to be doing another player comparison. It's been a while since we've done something like this, but we've done a few in the past. I know we did a quarterback one. I think we did a running back one before. That's what this one is. We're going to be comparing Dalvin Cook and Alvin Kamara, two guys that have really had great starts to their 2020 campaigns and two guys that are really fun to watch. So who'd like to get us started?
I'll kick us off over here.
I don't even know who Jordan's picking.
Yeah, you don't know who I'm picking.
I think we all had a tough time a little bit.
I'm not going to tell you just yet. I know who these two are picking. You'll learn that soon. But I just wanted to start off by saying these two running backs, first of all, they're younger guys in the league. They're going to be the future of the NFL. But they're also two very, very different running backs. Dalvin Cook, and read off his stats, 92 rushes for 489 yards. I think that leads the league. I'm not positive, but it's highlighted, it's bolded on here, so I'm assuming it does. With 7 touchdowns, that's also bolded as well. 97.8 yards per game on the ground. That is a whopping number. Then you go to Alvin Kamara. He's good on the ground, but where he really does his work, and he's been doing his work a lot there this year, is in the air from Drew Brees in this offense, who we've seen this year like to throw the ball shorter. So his rushing stats, 61 rushes for only 281 yards, 4 touchdowns. And then you go to the receiving. It's great for a running back, 38 receptions, 395 yards, and 3 touchdowns through the air as well. So two very different running backs. One bigger guy in Dalvin Cook, who you're just going to give the ball to. He's going to be a workhorse, pound it up the middle, get some big runs, make some guys just plow some guys over. Then there's Alvin Kamara, who's going to be a shifty guy out of the backfield, put him in the space. Two different running backs. It's hard to compare them. That's what we're doing today.
Yeah, that is what we're doing today, and it's close. I mean, I'm choosing Alvin Kamara, I'll say it right now, but I don't have an easy time doing it. The reason I'm choosing Alvin Kamara,
he did what he's doing.
The reason I'm doing what I am doing right now is because of what we saw in the receiving game. Jordan talked about it just earlier. The 3 touchdowns, 395 yards, and totally has 7 touchdowns. Does Dalvin Cook get any touchdowns through the air?
Let me ask the statistician now.
So then they both have 7 touchdowns this year, if I'm correct.
Well, 4 plus 3 does equal 7.
That's right. So I just think Alvin Kamara is a bit more of a game changer in the way that he can get out of the backfield and make plays, not just a guy who can run through the middle, although that is valuable to have. Dalvin Cook is one of the best in the league at doing that. I just see a more of a skill set that's spread out a bit more for Alvin Kamara. That's why I'm choosing him. We'll start arguing about different points later, but Ryan, I want to make sure you make your point, and then Jordan, tell us what side you're on after that.
I lean ever so slightly in favor of Dalvin Cook, but yes,
Good
very slightly. And it
I
really just comes down. Yeah,
Tony.
Thank you for the Tony Romo sound effects, but I do lean slightly in favor of Dalvin Cook because I just look at what he's done, and I really think he's the only reason that this team has been close in a lot of their games. I mean, Kirk Cousins has been inconsistent. The receivers have been on and off with their production, but I really think Dalvin Cook has been the one constant for that Minnesota Vikings team. And I know this Vikings team is 1-4, but I mean, if they're going to salvage their season, it's going to be through him, I believe. And I really think that you look at Dalvin Cook, he is just their go-to guy. He is the guy for that offense, and looking at his stats here, he hasn't always, blown away the viewers of the Vikings games and really people who are just around the league watching highlights because, he only eclipsed 100 yards rushing twice, but he did it in, significant fashion in the Vikings' 1 win against the Texans. 130 yards rushing, 2 rushing touchdowns. Everyone rushes good against us, except for James Robinson. Everyone rushes good against us, but in all seriousness, that's still impressive no matter who you're playing. And against the Titans in that game, the Vikings almost won. He was one of the reasons that game was so close. 181 rushing yards, not scrimmage yards, rushing yards, and a rushing touchdown. He's had at least 1 rushing touchdown in every game for the Vikings. He's 7 total on the year, as we mentioned. So I really think that when you look at Dalvin Cook, he is just the guy for that offense. And I know Alvin Kamara has a lot of things to like about him too, and he's a very important player for that offense, and I'll still touch on that later, even though I'm ultimately on the Dalvin Cook side. I will cover both sides in my time speaking. But when you look at Dalvin Cook, he is the guy for this offense, and especially with Kirk Cousins' inconsistency, I just think that makes him such a valuable player.
Jordan, who are you agreeing with here? This is a moment of truth, a little bit of a drum roll.
Yeah, and this is very hard to do. So you have to do a balancing act here. Do you go with the Swiss Army knife in Alvin Kamara, who, by the way, is competing with Christian McCaffrey in that division for the battle of the Swiss Army knives when Christian McCaffrey comes back? He might have been back after the video. We just don't know. And you're also dealing the other side with Dalvin Cook, who is an absolute workhorse. You're giving the ball, he's just going to pound it through. So how do you weigh this? Do you want the guy who's going to get the passes that much, or just want a guy who's going to put your team on and just run the ball up throats? It depends on what team you're trying to do. But for me, it's more fun to watch Alvin Kamara. I'll say that. But I'm going to go with Dalvin Cook in this one.
All right.
And here's kind of why. So, like I said, it's very hard to distinguish which one of these two is really better because there's two very different players. So you're weighing, does this guy need to be more heavily involved in the pass game, or do they just need to be an absolute tank that teams just cannot stop? And for me, right now, I have to go with Alvin Cook. I almost said Alvin Kamara. With Dalvin Cook, for reasons that Ryan just explained to us. Look, the thing is that Dalvin Cook is basically this Vikings team right now. Kirk Cousins, he's been doing some alright stuff. We've seen good breakout from Justin Jefferson, and Adam Thielen's doing pretty good as well. So the pass game is fine in Minnesota. It's not great, but it's fine. But it's really not just fine. It's not just great. It's fantastic. It's Dalvin Cook running ball. I read off his stats for the season: 489 yards, 7 touchdowns, 97.8 yards per game, 5.3 yards per attempt. That is amazing. That is a guy you can put your team on. You can do the same thing to Alvin Kamara. You can put your team on him in a different way. This is the guy where you're just giving the ball. I don't care if you know the dude's getting the ball. First of all, good blocking from the Vikings, which helps him. But also, I don't care if you know he's getting the ball. He's going to get 3 yards per carry each one. He'll have a big breakout run. He'll run some people over. That's not stuff that Alvin Kamara can do. Instead, he has his different skill sets of making people miss in open space, being a shifty guy, having that speed, having great hands. So it's very hard to weigh them. But it's like I said, it's more fun to watch that speedy guy in the backfield. But sometimes you just need to go old school football, pound it up, and Dalvin Cook is that pounding running back. Really, all those running backs in Minnesota are. I think that's why they're having so much success.
Well, Jordan, I know you weren't trying to say that I know what you were trying to say by saying Alvin Kamara is not like Dalvin Cook in terms of rushing up the middle. But I think he's more than capable of being a ground and pound running back. I mean, he can break tackles. And like you said, he's more of a shifty guy, but he can do it all.
He's got balance.
That's why I'm choosing him. He literally has everything. He's exciting to watch, and you mentioned he's more fun to watch. That is definitely true. I think that's because he's more of a playmaker. Get the ball to Alvin Kamara, and he can do things that you have never seen before. Take that game where it was a screen pass to Alvin Kamara behind the line, and he scored a touchdown against the Packers. And that's the type of things he can do. It's more explosive. It's more fun to watch. It's more elusive. That's why I chose Alvin Kamara, although I respect the heck out of what Dalvin Cook is doing. It's just a different style, which is why it's a bit difficult to compare these two guys.
Yeah, and I did want to negate what you just said, talking about Alvin Kamara running at the middle. Sure, you could do that. If you're an NFL running back, you can't run the ball at the middle and get out of the league. So, yes, he's good at doing that. But the thing is, with Dalvin Cook, you'll see him finish runs. He'll knock guys over. He'll fall forward. Alvin Kamara, yes, he will do that, but he's not as big. He's not as strong as Dalvin Cook. I will give it to Alvin Kamara. His balance is great. If you try to arm tackle, good luck. He's going to break it. But instead of, maybe Dalvin Cook will get tackled by an arm tackle every once in a while. But if you put your body on him, he could just truck you over still. So I just wanted to mention that. So great balance from Alvin Kamara. But I think when it comes to just being a powerhouse up the middle, Dalvin Cook controls that section of the game.
And when you look at these guys, I'm actually going to mention something that's kind of pro Kamara. Again, I said I wanted to talk about both sides because it was so close. I still am on the Dalvin Cook side, but I do want to talk about things I like about both of these guys because what's made Alvin Kamara, so important for that Saints team, I believe, is the way they've used him in the receiving game, the short passes, especially with the way, Drew Brees has not been as consistent as normal. The deep ball has been a struggle for him. There's all the jokes about him not being able to throw the ball more than 5 yards. I mean, I think Drew Brees will get better and that Saints team will be fine, but at least through this first chunk of the
especially
season.
With Michael Thomas going back.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Michael Thomas being hurt, then suspended by the team and whatever. So Kamara has been that security blanket for Drew Brees. And when, Drew Brees didn't feel he could make that throw or he was having a rough game or he was struggling with the deep ball, Kamara was that guy. And I think that what makes him an integral part of that team. And I think that if Drew Brees does not improve, again, I think Drew Brees will be fine. If Drew Brees continues to struggle with the deep ball, he's going to keep leaning on Kamara. And hey, it's worth it because teams eventually, after a couple weeks, had to figure out, okay, if the deep ball's not there, he's going to dump it off to Kamara. But yet Kamara is still putting up these crazy games. There's times where he has more receiving yards than rushing yards, but
it's been more likely than
yeah,
that,
honestly, at the end, if that works, go for it. But back to the guy I chose, Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook, I think, is just ever so slightly better as a pure running back up the middle. Looking at the yards per carry, Dalvin Cook 5.3, Kamara 4.6, and I mean that's not. It's really not that big of a difference. I'll say that, but I think that Dalvin Cook ever so slightly just a little bit better running up the middle. But I mean, Kamara's also used more differently. He's used more as a receiver. We mentioned how there's times where he gets more receiving yards than rushing yards. That's just the way Sean Payton and the Saints offense is deciding to use him with the way Drew Brees is playing right now. He needs that security blanket more than ever at this point in his career. So I mean, these guys are used in different ways, and I kind of think I think Kamara could be good if he ran up the middle more, but I think Cook could be just as good in the receiving game if the Vikings used him that way. I mean, I know he's a little bit different type of player.
Maybe using the screen game,
yeah.
I don't know about receiving game.
Well, not like full out, yeah, but they use Kamara in the screen game a lot, or the dump off and the flat. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about. I don't want him running fly routes. Okay, yeah, occasionally they will. I'm not asking for Dalvin Cook to run fly routes, but I think that Dalvin Cook could be that security blanket for Kirk Cousins, who, remember, has been inconsistent. So, again, really close. Just wanted to mention good things about both guys.
And while we're talking about Alvin Kamara and his receiving yards, I found an interesting stat that I want to share with you. This stat is courtesy of me, who just looked up one player and I actually got it pretty close. So Alvin Kamara, we were talking about his receptions, his receiving year so far. He has 38 receptions for 395 yards and 3 touchdowns. We named that off earlier. But something I really wanted to mention was comparing him to another player. Now, there might be another player that's even closer to this, but I took a look at Allen Robinson of the Chicago Bears. This year, Allen Robinson has 35 receptions for 421 yards. So it's pretty close comparison. Allen Robinson has 3 less receptions than Alvin Kamara. Now, Allen Robinson does have more yards than him because he's a wide receiver, so he's going down the field more. That's just something I want to say. Because Allen Robinson, if you've watched the Bears games, he is the number one guy, clearly. The ball needs to get to him whenever he's open. He makes some great catches. Sometimes he'll occasionally pop one up to the defense. Occasionally means 3 times already. Hopefully he stops doing that.
And counting.
I've only seen
hopefully
one.
not counting. But
possibly counting. We like Allen Robinson.
Yes, we do like Allen Robinson. So he is really the number one guy there. He's getting all the target shares, or a lot of the targets to him. Now, granted, the Bears' passing offense has not been too great. It's been probably better than the Saints, especially throwing to Alvin Kamara. But it's just something interesting I wanted to bring up. A number one guy in Allen Robinson, he has less receptions than Alvin Kamara. That just shows how much they're using Alvin Kamara down in New Orleans.
Yeah, I mean, you guys seem like you want to flip sides here. You're supporting Kamara a bit too
much. No, I said it was a tough decision. It's almost a coin flip.
I said, you know what? Here we go. Okay, me and Ryan have both said something good about Alvin Kamara. Okay, now it's time for you to say something good about Dalvin Cook.
I would love to, because I don't want to be hating on Dalvin Cook. He's a great player, one of the best running backs.
We're not hating on any of these guys.
And it's not even close. Yeah, I don't think we've said anything.
They both got paid for good reason.
We haven't said anything bad about either of these running backs. Also, these 2 guys we even mentioned got paid at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's I know, but it's fun to.
We didn't mention it. Well, I just mentioned 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Sorry about
You're forgetting
that.
what he said 5 seconds ago.
It happens occasionally, even to the best of us. But that makes it more interesting about Dalvin Cook. Now I'm going to start talking more about what he's able to do. You guys mentioned up the middle is what I like, and he never stops. Jordan, you said he finishes runs. He never stops pounding for extra yardage. When you're in those 3rd and short situations, you almost know Dalvin Cook is going to pick it up because he's able to do it in those moments. Almost every single time he's consistent in that way. I think Dalvin Cook has proven to himself immensely. That's why they both got paid. As Jordan said earlier, I didn't even realize he said it. I said it as well. But yeah. Lastly, I think we're kind of repeating ourselves at this point. So I do want to lastly say that Alvin Kamara has been to 3 Pro Bowls against Dalvin Cook's 1. And he's also been the Offensive Rookie of the Year, Kamara was. So just some of those things to point out for them.
To be fair, Dalvin Cook has been hurt for a lot of his career, so he's kind of had his stats hindered a little bit.
Yeah.
Last year,
Kamara's played 50 games, and Dalvin Cook's played 34.
Yeah,
injury.
Definitely. So you got to take that into account.
How many did Kamara play?
50. All right.
You just said that.
That's why I asked him.
It happens to the best of us.
No, I'm messing. It's a joke.
No joke. Anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. Let us know. Or first off, let me just say, like this video, subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell to be notified every time we post a video. Make sure to comment. Now I'll say it. Who you believe is better, Alvin Kamara or Dalvin Cook?
Explain why too.
Exactly.
If we said something right, say what we said right. If we said something you think is wrong, hey, point it out.
Absolutely.
That's right. Explain it to us why you believe you're on either side. Explain to us why you believe one of us are wrong, just like Jordan said. Or anything about these two running backs, we would love to hear your opinions on this. And with that, we will see you guys later.
See ya.